Peace, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Macho Word Clan channel today. As you see, Brother Kofi on the screen. Me and Brother Kofi, by the way. You know, I don't know what color he got in his head this week, but we're gonna rock it on out. We're gonna rock it on out. I think that's maroon. You know what I'm saying? Or lavender. You know, or champagne. Whatever we want to mix in with that. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, shit.
You know, from the tribe. Yeah, that's how we rocking it. I had to get my hair done like that, y'all. My skin fade.
No doubt. You be fly then.
Yeah, man. I just want to appreciate everybody tuning in today. Please like the show, share the show, tell a friend, like Kofi say, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're about to get it in today, but before we get started, though, I just want to ask Brother Kofi if he got anything that he want to say. Before we get to it,
tell a friend, like Kofi say, tell a friend, tell a friend.
Oh man, there we go.
I just want to say, man, Lafayette, eBay, which means peace, family. You know me, Fatmo, Lafayette, Fatmo, Iwa Pele, bring forth good character, bring forth peace. Please do that in the chat. Majube, Egun Majube Ibai, Egun Gun Kiki, Egun Gun. I always have to give honor and praises to the ancestors because, again, without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. Again, appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. Please take out your pens and papers, take notes, and enjoy the show. And please like, share the show.
All right. Let me know when my screen sharing, Kofi, if you ain't got it locked in on me.
Yeah, it's locked in on you.
Are you already locking in on? All right. As y'all can see, I got some presentations on board. We got another one for next week. Then Kofi come out of retirement. He been gone for a few weeks. But yeah, man, thanks for everybody tuning in right now. I see a bunch of people in the building presently. If you want to go ahead, like the show, share the show. We're going to keep on saying it, like the show, share the show, man. Help us get this information out here. Like I said last week, I got a treat for the ladies today, as well as the men in the chat. But we're going to deal with the House of the Hausa. And we're going to have some fun with it, man. You know, we don't always have to be too serious, but let's get to it. My bad. Let's go. Let's get it. Yeah, man, that the music in the background, that was a guy that was actually playing this drum that the Hausa people make, and the horn sound that you heard in the background is pretty much their own long. It's a real long horn, like a trumpet. And the gentleman that was next to the man that was actually singing and playing the drum at the same time, somebody that was with him held a bullhorn to his mouth while he was actually singing like that. And they do this, religiously all the time. Let's go. Hausa land extends from the Elb Mountains in the north to Jos Plateau in the south, and from Borno in the east to the Niger Valley in the west. Karsa Hausa, the country of the Hausa language, was the name given to the region, although non-Hausa people such as the Tuareg, the Zambarma, or Jarma, and the Fulbe were also settled there. The brilliant civilization that was to develop here owed a great deal to this cultural assimilation through language, which inevitably facilitated the homogenization of customs and political. Can you got something to say, Kofi?
Oh man, hold on. Let me
all right. Political institutions to make it one of the most important ethnic groups in Africa. There are four main theories about the origins of the Hausa. The first theory, now abandoned, based on erroneous interpretations of the Bahajida or the Dura legend, claims that the ancestors of the Hausa were Arabs from Baghdad. I'm going to repeat that again. There are four main theories about the origins of the Hausa. The first theory, now abandoned, based on erroneous interpretations, claims that the ancestors of the Hausa were Arabs from Baghdad. So throw that one out. According to Abdullah Smith, if the Baha legend means anything, it is the influence of the Borno on the political institution of the Hausa, and as is shown by the Kanura words in the Hausa vocabulary. The second theory maintains that the Hausa people were originally settled in the southern Sahara and moved southwards as it became a desert, pushing back the Autonomous, if I said that correctly, peoples to the Baku Plateau, where the linguistic picture is different from Hausa. The third, these assert that the ancestors of the Hausa were the inhabitants of the western shore of Lake Chad. And when the lake began to shrink, they settled as sedentary cultivators on the land thus freed, spreading northward and westward from a nucleus constituted by the kingdoms of Dara, Kano, Rano, and Gorm or Gabos, to include Katsina, Satsua, Gobur, Zamfara, and Kibi. But there is no decisive proof to confirm thesis. The fourth thesis proposed by Mahdu Ahdamu stresses the Akhmanis character of the Hausa people based on the fact that no section of it has any traditions of migration. It is said that the ancestors came out of holes in the ground. The original groups later benefited greatly, of course, from the immigration of Wangara Dola and the Fulbe people. Naturally, the process of ethnogenesis is difficult to reconstruct, but there is nothing to disprove it, and it's likely that, in very ancient times, this original home of the Hausa included parts of the Sahara, in particular Air, has been conquered in the 14th and 15th centuries by the Tuareg, who pushed the Hausa back towards the Gabor. The term Hausa, moreover, only appeared in about the 16th century. Until then, the inhabitants were described by the names of kingdoms, Kadinsanwa, Kanwa, Gobenwa, and so on. The Egyptian Al-Suyutu in 1445 to 1505 used the term Hausa in the epistles to the kings of the Sudan, Hausa and El-Takur. The authors of the Timbuktu Tariq regularly employed the term to refer to the left bank of the Niger in contrast to Gomorrah. According to the Kano Chronicle, a collection of Hausa traditions written down many centuries later, and whose dates, of course, are not exact, the first Sakir of the king of Kano was Bogoda, who came to power as early as 999 AD. We can probably conclude that a number of Hausa settlements, each dependent on its main city, began to appear on the political scene some 800 or 900 years ago. These Hausa states had three main reasons for existence. These reasons were to be found in their cities. Each main Hausa city or town for these settlements, were at first quite small, was a place for government and military defense. Neighboring farmers could take refuge there when threatened by invaders or raiders. In exchange for this protection, they paid taxes to the men who ruled the city, who in turn paid the soldiers and kept the law and order. These men were in turn ruled by a Sarki or king, a member of one or the other leading family. Secondly, each Hausa city was a marketplace for the nearby countryside. Here, farmers would exchange their products for goods and that craftsmen made in the leather and other materials. Thirdly, each Hausa city became gradually a center of international trade. It became a place for the exchange not only of local produced goods, but also of goods brought from North Africa and Egypt, from the rest of the Sudan, and from Ghana. This prosperity was the result of a long development. In the beginning, the Hausa states had difficult problems to solve. Before they could grow strong and wealthy, they had to build their power to cities and extend this power over the neighboring peoples of the countryside. Many of these people had their own ways, their own religious customs and beliefs. The earlier Hausa states, which I mentioned earlier in the presentation, were Kano, Katsina, and not in any particular order, Zaria, Gobir, Rano, Zamfara, and Kibi. Hausa states later recognized Waguzara, Gwari, Nupe, Kwawarafa, and Ilorin. The 17th and 18th century saw the rise of Zamfara and then Katsina to the position of most important trading cities in the central Sudan. They were strategically placed on the trans-Saharan trade route through Agadez to Tripoli. The same period saw the decline in power of Kibi, which was under constant attack by the Zamfara, Gobir, and Air. The existence of the powerful empires to the east and west meant that Hausa land isolations could not have been total. The horses used by the Kano cavalry force in the early 14th century and the Lafidi iron helmets and coats of mail introduced at the end of the century were presumably obtained through contact between Hausa land and one or both of the Kanem or Mali empires. Before any establishment of political relations between Kanem, Borno, and Mali, Songhai and the Hausa land migrants from the west and east had traveled to or settled in Hausa land. These contacts had introduced Islam into Hausa land by the 14th and 15th centuries, to which period the conversion to Islam of the Sarakuna of Kano and Katsina is dated. The conversion of Sarkim Kano, Ali Yaji beat Tatsima 1349 to 1385 was accomplished in the wake of substantial migrations of Wangara, devotees of clerics from the Mali Empire. It was accompanied by the establishment of a hierarchy of Muslim religious offices alongside the traditional hierarchy of the state's administration. The Islamic penetration came with the beginning of a thoroughgoing opening of Hausa land to an east-west communication within West Africa, in which Hausa traders became an active element. With this expansion of communication,
Shawn, you sound like a robot.
I sound like a robot.
Shawn,
I'm fine, Kofi.
You good now?
I'm good now.
Okay, yeah, you good now. You
I
sound
bet
like a
you.
robot.
I bet you it was your internet.
It might be.
The chat ain't
Hold on.
saying.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead.
Hey, if I sound good in the chat, man, put a 1 up if y'all still paying attention, man.
Yeah, let him know if he sound like a robot on my end. Is he clear on y'all end?
You know it's a delay.
He said 1, so it must be on my end. Go ahead.
All right. Don't forget to like the show, by the way. So the Islamic penetration came with the beginning of the West thoroughgoing opening of Hausa land to an east-west communication within West Africa, in which Hausa traders became an active element. With this expansion of communication, Hausa land was becoming a buffer, not only militarily and politically, but also in terms of gradual absorption of Hausa land into a wider West African and Muslim world marks a turning point in the Hausa history. Islam has such a long history in the Hausa country that, as one might expect, wherever the religion is practiced seriously, it has become an integral part of the people's way of life. The political, legal, judicial, and other institutions of the country are on the Muslim pattern. Social life is to a great extent ruled by Muslim norms, and Islam provides the framework for intellectual development. Nevertheless, there is at least one group of Hausa people, the Magazoa, who are not Muslim. This is important because it emphasizes the persistence of older ideals and beliefs in spite of the introduction and even the general acceptance of a new religion. However, although the Hausa may privately accept that they are descended from the Magazoa who have not been converted to Islam, they would not publicly regard the Magazoa of today as Hausa. The Hausa credit the introduction of Islam to one Magalia, who, according to tradition, come from Bornu. Information collected by Barth confirms this tradition, but indicates that Magalia came from the north or northwest. He would seem to be identical with Muhammad el-Maghali, a renowned preacher of moral religious artistry from Telkin or Algeria, who wrote a treatise on government entitled The Obligations of Princes for the King of Kano in the early 16th century. But Maghali was certainly not the first to preach Islam in Hausa land, since find traces of the religion there as much as a century before him. Since his memory has survived among the Hausa, he was probably a most effective missionary. And whoever were the first Muslim missionaries in Hausa land, the evidence indicates that they came from the Western Sudan and the Maghreb, a fact which has left its mark on the subsequent history of the Hausa country. In 1804, a learned Fulani scholar, Usman Danfadio, declared jihad against the Heb kings of Hausa land. He and his followers were determined to reform society in Hausa land, where the practice of Islam was not pure. They accused the rulers of Hausa land of being pagans and declared that though they called themselves Muslims, they did not obey the Sharia or Muslim law. Within a decade, most of Hausa land, as well as parts of Borno and what are now Baki and Adamawa, came under control of the jihadists. Important chronicles in Hausa land history, which are also important chronicles in the history of West Africa. If anyone is familiar with studying West Africa or any conversations about West Africa, you always hear of the Kano Chronicles. Those are very important chronicles of that era. The authorship of it is extensive, and you heard me mention these things earlier. So you have these three important chronicles of the Hausa history. You can screenshot this. You can go look back and see if you can find any information on them. But I'm not trying to be too detailed today. All right. So here we have the Hausa Horsemen. When you look at West African history, or you hear about the horses in the region or whatnot, and what it meant to certain people or whatnot, or if you hear the term the dancing horses, this is where all of this, come from. We're gonna get into the dancing horse too, by the way.
Kano is again on the fast lane. It is celebration time, and the people of Kano know how to celebrate. This time, the Daba in Kano is unique in many ways. For 3 years, it could not hold, no thanks to the security situation in many parts of the north. Then, Kano has a new emir who never hosts a Daba. So when Ramadan ends and the security situation in Kano is in great shape, the emir rolls out his troops to the street of Kano. It is how and Doshe. Daba is a world-class entertainment, relentless in its motion, splendid in its color, breathtaking in its horsemanship, and royal in its presentation. It has themes too. Doshe holds a day after Salah. It is always crazy, time-bound, beginning at 4 p.m. and ending at sunset. In Doshe, the emir and his train pay homage to the King Mother, not far from the palace. Thereafter, in a royal procession, they march the palace to receive homage from his royal train and from the people of Kano. On this occasion, one of the prominent royal servants, Metapai, the king's chief gunman, had a special homage for the emir. A granddaughter of the palace of Kano was at a strategic location to honor the Daba and relive her experience.
It's really amazing, like the same clothes that they wear, the music, the gunshots. It's an amazing experience. The people that come to see, it's very lovely how the Kano people love their king.
I've traveled all over the world, and I've worked in about 40 countries on this continent in the life that I've lived so far, and I've never seen anything that even remotely compares to the Kano Durbar.
Doshe is only a segment of the elaborate Dabas in Kano. As the celebration continues, so the Daba did.
The Hausa Horsemen. Look at how decorated the horses are. All right, let's move on. I want y'all to pay attention. There's a reason why I'm doing this, because I'm introducing y'all to the Hausa Horsemen. Watch how they get busy. You've already seen them at the beginning. Or that dancing horse. Now, anyone familiar with what's going on right now? I just put some in the chat. This whole scene should look familiar to you. When Mansa Musa picture is shown all over, or an artistry of what is deemed to be Mansa Musa, you see him in something similar in a festival, pretty much surrounded by a bunch of men on horses, just like these. And that man that was earlier that had the little thing over him, you know, blocking the shade or whatnot, was of royalty. That would be considered to be Mansa Musa. All right, so if you couldn't hear me earlier, basically what I was saying is that the reason that I ran all these videos back to back like this for a reason, and I wanted to show not only the Hausa Horsemen and their role in society as a part of the cultural experience there, especially during the Kano festivals and so forth, but the famous picture of Mansa Musa. So you should see the similarities in that, because he was in one of those festives where you had this crowd of people that was around, and then all these decorated horsemen, and then in the middle of all of that you have this what would be seen as Mansa Musa draped in gold with this umbrella above him that's held by other people while he waves or whatever, which, you know, is a famous artistry that is used from time to time to explain Mansa Musa. Now, here's some Hausa cultural facts. Since majority of the Hausas are Muslim, they do nothing that Holy Quran forbids. Think of the following acts as taboo when you are visiting the Hausa tribes: pork food, alcohol consumption, gold and silk male clothes, scanty clothing. These are some of the things you should never eat, wear, or do when you are in Hausa land. Traditionally, the main occupation of the of this ethnic is agriculture and trade. Hausa people grow corn, millet, yams, different vegetables, cotton, and peanuts, and breed horses, goats, and cattle. The men hunt and go fish, while the women are mostly involved in pottery, baskets, mats, knitting, etc. Foods prepared by these tribes include vegetables, pumpkin, spinach, okra, with the soup or porridge, and fish. Hausa people also like to eat rice, millet, and maize. Such grain-based meals are called tuwo in their native language. The most popular, well-known dish is called the suya. It is made of chicken, beef, or ram in a style of spicy kebab. The wedding traditions are very important to the Hausa people. This significant ceremony has its own name. Hausa females often marry at early ages, mostly as teenagers. And this is just an image of a sister out in the field dealing with agriculture. And here are some imageries of the weddings and the importance of the elegancy of the Hausa women when they are up for marriage. And these images are of some beautiful women, by the way. And here are some of the foods that were mentioned earlier that you can find in the Hausa land that you could take to and eat. Now, here are some Hausa cultural facts continued. All women usually dress up to cover all the main parts of the body. Females wear a colorful wrapper called zani that looks cute with a head tie, matching blouse, and scarves or scabs. Hausa men traditionally wear shirts with narrow sleeves. You can often meet men in trousers and long shirt robe called juani over the narrow sleeve shirt that has an embroidered collar. The dress code is set by the strong religious beliefs, so you can often meet men in flowing gown called baban rigi. Male head is covered with the hala cape or a turban. The Hausa tribe are also known for prominent tribal marks, which they draw mainly on the face and sometimes on other parts of the body. The genesis of the Hausa tribal marks was for identification. At some point in history, every clan village had their own distinct tribal marks that made it easier for either of them to identify their kith and kin in the event of invasion, war, getting lost, or captured for slavery. So these tribal marks were identifiers, especially during times of trade, like I said at the bottom. So when you start thinking of the West African culture and you see these tribal marks, here's the reason why. They were indicators. You could tell, they can distinguish what tribe you were from and so on and so forth. So if you were lost, stranded, or captured, you know, hey, we know you of the Fulani, we know you of the Mossi, so on and so forth. All right, we have a brother here in his traditional garbs, we should say. I didn't want the women to think I was posting the brothers on here for them. But however, we have a sister here with the Hausa tribal marks, as mentioned earlier. And here are 6 things to know before dating a girl from Kano. Fellas, pay attention. If you want to beg you a Hausa woman as beautiful as this lady in the picture right here, you need to know these 6 things, fellas. Your chances may be limited if you don't speak the Hausa language. So you want to learn the language off the rip. Being Muslim puts you in a vantage position. Better to have a friend signal your interest in her first. So, you know, back in the day, we used to run this little thing, me and my cousins, you know what I'm saying? Like, we call it interference. So if we see a chick or a female or sister that we were interested in, you know what I'm saying? I used to be like, cuz, roll the interference for me. You feel me? So my cousin, he would go get involved. Like, yeah, you know, my cousin over there trying to boom, 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 boom. Then, you know, we get involved, and that's how it happened. You know what I'm saying? Some people do things differently, but I can relate to that, being that we always run a little interference for each other and how that go. So they like to keep relationships secret and quiet. Now, I know a lot of people like to be on social media advertising their relationships, put their business in the street. 1 minute you broke up, the next minute you back together, and then the next minute don't nobody know what's going on with y'all because y'all beefing until the breakup come out, and then all of a sudden it's forget you, blah, 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 blah. It's all over social media. Well, the Hausa women, they don't like to keep their relationships public. They like to keep everything secret and quiet. Now, you have to accept their dress culture. Okay, I don't think any man should have a problem with the way the Hausa women dress because yes, they do cover up everything and they don't exploit themselves. But boy, when you unravel them, you never know what you're gonna get underneath that bag of tricks. Now, they will commit if you are serious, which is a key point here. So, fellas, if you are looking at this, I'm telling you right now, if you want to bag you a Hausa woman, they will commit if you are serious. Now, remember also that these are Muslim women. So polygamy is an opportunity as well. I'm not saying it. I'm not promoting it. I am saying it, but I'm not promoting it. All right, moving on. Sisters in the chat. Told y'all I had y'all. So here are 8 reasons, not 6. 8 reasons why you should date a Hausa man. If there was a jihad, you'd survive. He probably has a nice mother. You won't have to worry about bad hair days or not having anything pretty to wear ever again because the hijab is an ultimate fashion statement. Cause the hijab. It means the gowns and stuff like that you wear. Now, you'll know beforehand that your man may marry more wives, so you don't have to keep sleepless nights worrying about your husband cheating on you. And he loves you so much he doesn't want a man coming near you, especially not hunky male doctor. They don't play no games. It's a wrap. Now, he's a man in every sense of the word, hard, fearless, and courageous. Unlike other men, you'll never see him cry. Okay. Now, his language is soft-spoken. One so even if he's shouting at you, the neighbors will have no idea what's going on. From childhood, he's been trained in the art of self-control and self-restraint. So you can be sure he won't have premature ejaculations. Oh, man. I told y'all I had some for y'all women. So, ladies, if you're looking for you a Hausa man, here's what you can expect from the Hausa brothers in the community over there. And fellas, like I said, man, we have something to look forward to as well. So I took care of the sisters as well in this thing here. Here are my sources. Screen share, whatever you want to do. You can jot them down and you can go back. We talked a little bit about the history of the Hausa. We didn't get too in depth with the history of the Hausa because I didn't want to bore a lot of people. And then we talked about the cultural aspects in the Hausa land. Now, you may see a follow-up in the future in regard to the scribal marks and these tattoos on the face of the Hausa people, which can, in some instance, bring some... I just want to say, if you don't like certain things that are going on, you may want to turn your head to it because it will kind of make your flesh crawl in a sense. And here are the picture references that were used in this presentation. So if you want to go back and look at the blog spots where the images come from and look at a little bit more, you can get into that. But, you know, as far as the facial and body markings, I'm going to try to get into that presentation soon for you guys. I know I've been on a little run. I got one more next week, and then we'll hear from Brother Kofi. I don't know how that would turn out, but we'll hear from the Brother Kofi. Not next week, but the week after next. So in 2 weeks, we should have Kofi back, and then we'll be back to our normal rotation. And Brother Ben back on Saturdays in the future as well, I think in the next few weeks. Right now, he's recovering from a little sickness. So Everybody send your condolences to Brother Ben, and you know, wish him well as far as getting healthy. Before I move on to the next slide, I'm gonna look in the chat for any questions or anything that anyone has to ask, or if you want me to go back to a particular slide that you were interested in, whether it be from the historical part or the cultural aspect. Feel free. If you want me to get back into the Hausa, you want me to deal with the Hausa horse, I can. Now, Brother Shabazz, in his presentation of introducing you to West Africa, he actually has the dancing horse in display. Now, on the blank screen that I had, that screen actually was supposed to have came in with the dancing horse, but because of the element of the video, I just disregarded it. So I think that's why I had that blank right there, because that's why I wanted that dancing horse to come in. But there was something really messed up about the video, so I just got away from it. But this the home of the dancing horse as well. So like I said, if you looked at Brother Shabazz video, you'll see that horse coming in, and they get the drumming, and that horse get to moving them legs, dancing like, you know what I'm saying, like he looked like, what's your boy name that kill him with the shoulders. That's what the dancing horse looked like, but he be jazzing. So let me check the chat. And Brother Kofi, if you got something you want to say, man, man, this is your time.
Oh man, much again appreciate the family for tuning in and checking out the show. Be looking forward week after. We'll be looking forward for next week to Brother Shawn.
No, he said it right. He said it right. He was finna say, be looking forward to the week after next. Him going into his thing. You see what I'm saying? Iwabaruru in the building.
Oh shoot, man, whatever. But tune in next week to the Mossi Warrior Clan channel. We've been consistent. We're gonna continue to keep bringing y'all information as we've been doing. I hope y'all appreciate the information that we've been bringing so forward. But tune in next week. Brother Shawn has another presentation, and after that, I'll be doing a 3-part presentation on African religion. It's called African Religion, African Spirituality Concepts, the how and the why. So we'll be going deep in depth, and I'll be trying to explain the concepts and the how and the why they came up with these different concepts, and even going into a lot of indigenous systems. And so maybe we can get away from this African spirituality word. And I'll go more in depth into the African spirituality word and where it come from, and et cetera, et cetera. And again, appreciate y'all for tuning in and supporting the Mossi Warrior Clan channel. Again, like the show, share the show. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. If you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate y'all support. We hope that y'all continue to support us. We hope that y'all continue to share our information, because we need to get our information out here to the folks. We're not trying to be popular. We just trying to just change the mindsets of a lot of our people. And with that, I just want to say Modupe and Moribe.
Are you done,
Y'all see how this thing do? I'm done, man. You told me I can speak. So when I speak.
Hey, man. Okay, so let me tell y'all why I did that. Because before the show started, I was like, Kofi, you want to talk? I asked him. I said, Coach, like, nah, man, I don't want to talk, bro. I'm good. I said, you shit. Why you mute, Kofi? Don't be laughing. Don't be laughing. He don't look. He don't want y'all to see his face, y'all. He laughing right now.
Boy, you crazy.
All right. But if anybody don't have any questions, man, then we'll get to the next slide, man, and then we'll just rock out, man, and end the show. But yeah, Brendan, you better have some control with all those wives. That's correct, bro. So hopefully, you know, this presentation, when we got to the cultural aspects, was a good elaborate, being able to show the expectations of the men and what they can expect from the Hausa women, and the expectations of the women, what they can expect from the Hausa men. So, you know, there's no mix up, confusion, or anything like that. And I tried to bring out a particular style of a man. I don't know, you know, what women like these days, but, you know, hopefully a need was met there. And it was very informative for those. But
he called for the unity and the redemption of the African world.
Salute them, honorable Marcus.
We were not ready to listen then.
They might not have been ready then.
I wonder whether we are ready.
Ain't no doubt about it.
To listen.
We ready, baby.
Now.
Let's go. Yeah.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
Black fist to the sky, with the side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. Hold it high, let it fly. Rebels colors forever, army would never die. On my 90, the throne ready, let's take a ride. Cats won't fix, men don't choose a side. This is the path for the warriors. Selling travel, yet still bad glorious. Black power represents us. You either rolling with Africa or against us.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
Black fists in the sky, with the side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. The red is for the blood. I got the best stock, the rest got stood. The black is for the gods, melanated and elevated, holding the main charge. The green is for the cradle. Africa, everything first, the earth's navel. His excellency put it together as a symbol of liberation. That's how we get the letters RBG.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
Black fists in the sky, with the side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. The fly high is 99. People on it no time. I'll drab on my design. We won't ready. Hard line, ain't no games with that red flame. Triple stage of that black bang. Revolution in my veins. Till we free, I won't change. And you can count on that like an abacus. Celebrate the victories and the challenges. It's deeper than social media statuses. This lifestyle, elevation building practices. Yeah.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
Black fists in the sky, with the side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. Red, black, green. RPG, I'm about that red, black, green. That RPG, I'm about that red, that black, that green. RPG, I'm about that red, black, green. That RPG, baby. RPG, baby. Come on.
Fly high, my flag fly high, my flag fly high.
Shout out to all my RPGs worldwide. Doing this thing garbage style. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
My flag fly high, my flag fly high.
Come on.
Flag fly high, my flag fly high, my flag fly high.
RBG's on the road.
All eyes gonna recognize the flag fly high.
And we out.